Welcome to the Hot Seat. I'm your host, Maggy Martinez, and today we are talking about the issues hitting Georgia families where it matters the most at the kitchen table, in their communities, on their farms, and their wallets. The cost of living continues squeezing working families. Farmers and rural communities are fighting to protect their land and their livelihoods. Families are worried about health care and Social Security. Veterans are asking whether Washington is keeping the promises made to them. At the same time, Georgia is experiencing enormous growth in data centers, raising serious questions about electricity, water, land infrastructure, and ultimately, who is going to pay for it. And across America, immigration enforcement has created an intense debate not only about border security, but about due process, detention facility, family separation, racial profiling, and the humane treatment of people. These are not Republican problems or Democratic problems. These are American problems. And today we are putting them on the hot seat. My guest today is Maura Keller, Democratic nominee for the United States Congress in Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. Maura served our country for 26 years in the United States Army, rising from an enlisted military policewoman to lieutenant colonel. After her military career, she continued serving veterans as healthcare professional at the Atlanta VA. Now she wants to take that experience to Washington and represent the people of Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. Today, we are going beyond campaign slogans. We are talking about the affordability, farmers, healthcare, veterans, Social Security, immigration, data centers, energy costs, and political division. So let's dive in.
Present Starbound Studios starring Maggy Martinez and the Hot Seat Interview. Y ahora con ustedes, Maggy Martinez en Caliente.
Well, here she is, Maura Keller. She's the U.S. Congress Democratic nominee for District 3. So welcome, Maura, to the hot seat.
Thank you, Maggie. And also, congratulations on your Roku TV.
Oh, my God, that's a milestone, Maura. Now all our candidates will be out there with a great platform that they could see on their phones, on their TV, everywhere. That's excellent. Well, Maura, affordability, the kitchen table crisis, right? Mm-hmm. People are hearing politicians talk about the economy, but many families feel that they don't feel it. They don't feel it in their pockets. So what will you do in Congress to bring down the cost of living, and what can Congress realistically change?
Well, in 2024 when I ran, I would talk about affordability. But I don't even talk about affordability anymore because right now it has changed to survivability.
Survivability, that's right.
Because our pay has not kept pace with everything that has gone up. And with us keeping, 16, 17 years at $7.25, that is not enough for a family to survive. So one of the things is we've got to finally change the pay scale. We've got to change that $7.25. If you look at some of the studies, just in Georgia alone, they say for a livable wage, that's $22.
That's right.
I don't think we're going to be able to do that one whole jump from $7.25 to $22, but we've got to start it somewhere.
Right.
So that has to be number one. We've got to do better with our health care. When the Affordable Care Act went away, our people can't afford their health care. Again, it's with my minimal amount of money, where is it going to go? So like for me in Congress, there's a lot of things I can't do because they are local issues. Like I can't, tell you what to charge for rent, or, I can't necessarily change the prices at the grocery store, but I can help the farmers.
That's right.
To do what they need to do in order to keep some of those prices,
down.
Low.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I need to find ways to make a housing affordable. Now, we all saw what happened during COVID because we had less of the products that could come in to be able to build homes. And the home rates were astronomical. Plus the interest rates had gone up. Now
it's not happening.
Tariffs. So we need to find ways that we can make it, the housing costs a lot more affordable. People are looking for workforce housing in their area because they would love to be able to live in the communities that they work in. So I want to be able to help with that. One of the other things that we don't necessarily talk about is how do we balance this federal budget?
Oh my
We
goodness.
just hit $40 trillion. And we just seem to kick that can down the road. Our interest rate is $95 billion a month that we pay, just in interest. Can you imagine what we could do with $95 billion a month to help the people?
That's right. Well, we're talking with Maura Keller, U.S. Congress candidate, the Democratic nominee for District 3. I wrote a book. It's called The Secrets of Campaigning. So you think you could run? Buy it because, Maura, this keeps this show going, right? Because
Yes.
we have to buy equipment. We have to keep up with technology, and this is important. Buy it for a friend that is running for office. Buy it for yourself. Or buy it for your daughters to do what? To develop leadership on them, right? So it's important. Now, if you feel it in your heart to make a donation to the show so we keep this conversation going, please visit starboundpr.com and make a little donation, $10, $20. It helps to keep everything going. We even need paper, you know what I mean? Well, we spoke about affordability, but farmers in rural Georgia are suffering. And Georgia 3rd District includes rural communities where agriculture isn't simply an industry, it's a way of life. So what federal policy will you support to protect family farms and make sure small and mid-sized farmers can actually survive?
And what you just said is small and mid-sized farms are the backbone of the 3rd Congressional District. We are big when it comes to the farming, poultry, cattle, and it always seems that the focus is always put on those bigger corporations, and the smaller to mid-sized farms, they're not taken care of. They seem to somehow fall through the cracks. They're constantly just making enough to pay off their bills, and then they start that process all over again.
And then the gas prices are really affecting them.
I talked to somebody, and the diesel fuel, he said it was costing him $1,200 a week. It jumped to $2,700 a week.
We're talking about $2,700 in gasoline at all. Oh my God!
In the diesel for them to run their equipment, and that was just for a few machines. And for the mid-size, they need a lot more. So that their profits, they're watching, just go right down the drain. We need to make sure that we have better insurance for them. We need to ensure that we have more loans, remove some of the caps, have more microloans, better payment processes.
There's so much that we can do, right?
There's so much that we can do. But again, like everything seems to concentrate more on those bigger corporations. We need to ensure that our rural farmers, that they can sell more into our own communities because it gives them more reach. Because they are the backbone of our economy,
and they cut the middle person right there, like the supermarkets.
They do, and they had a big part in the SNAP benefits. They received money in order for us to pay, provide the food for those on SNAP benefits, and now we lost. I think it was like, oh my gosh. I can't remember the number right now, but it was the number of people that have fallen off of SNAP benefits.
Oh,
so now what happens?
There's no food on the table.
That's exactly right. And we concentrate on so much, and these guys are the backbone of just not our community, not just Georgia, not just the U.S., but the world, and we ignore them way too much.
Way too much. Well. The data center dilemma. Data centers are expanding rapidly across Georgia. And certainly one of my main concerns is the water resources of the 5 rivers that are in Atlanta. So that's the thing that people talk about electricity, but they don't understand that if the water resources don't come down again to the rivers, we have a problem, especially in the Atlanta area. Should there be a stronger oversight of a massive data centers development?
100%. Right now with our data centers, just in Georgia's 3rd district, the last count that I had was a little over 40 data centers that are either here in the process or projected.
But what about the water resources for the farmers?
And that's exactly right. When you look at how many of them are being built and how close they are to each other, and in some cases the massive water consumption that they need, Hampton is just a big example. Coweta is another big example. And I can even tell you from QTS, me living in Fayetteville, I mean, I can see my water. Every time I turn my water on, it does not come out like it used to. It kind of...
Yeah, the pressure is lower.
That's exactly it. So our farmers need that water. And who's going to get the priority? The data centers?
The data centers.
Or are my farmers going to be told that they have to, conserve?
This is not good. We have 43 operating data center facility in Georgia. We have 134 planned facilities or projects. So it would be approximately 177 operating or planned facilities altogether. And the water resources is key. We're talking about something serious.
So we're talking about the water. We are talking about people being able to pay their electric bill. That's another one that we can't forget, because I'm concerned about of course, everybody. But again, without our pay going up and your electric bills going up, even my water bill went up, which I haven't seen gone up in ages. I've lived here for 30 years. The data centers are just putting an undue hardship on the people. And our motto is, it's not that we don't need data centers. We do.
Yes.
They just don't need to be built in our backyards.
That's
they
right.
need to be in those heavy industrial areas, but they aren't, because the infrastructure's not there, the water sources.
High-speed internet is not there.
Where
Cable.
are they? It's all by your backyard.
By your backyard.
And so, and the other thing is, when I go to these data center meetings throughout the county, what's interesting is when I ask the question, who is coming in? They don't have a person coming in yet. Everything is being speculative growth. I would rather know that we know somebody's coming in. That the attitude is, if we build it, they will come. Not in our area.
Well, transparency is not there. Accountability is not there. We don't know eventually what will be the consequences of all this. We haven't seen that yet. We saw this happening in other states, that the water in the rivers are turning brown. And that's a big, big concern. Well, we need a whole show just for data center. We need to really bring Chris and you together and talk about this, because this is something that people need to know, because this is not about Republicans.
No.
This is not about Democrat. This is how we are going to have quality of life for all the people in those areas where they want to build these data centers. So you got another invitation.
Okay.
Well, immigration, humane treatment, immigration enforcement has become one of the most device issues in America. So where do you draw the line between enforcing our immigration laws and protecting basic human and constitutional rights?
See, to me, there should not be a line. We should have due process. We should have human rights. Our immigration system it's beyond broken. We knew we had an immigration problem. It's an issue on both sides of the aisle that have kicked it down and hoping that the next group would take care of it. But right now, we're seeing this on steroids. This is where people who are legally allowed to be here. We have those that are on DACA. We have those that are somewhere within the amnesty or immigration process. They're doing everything that they were told to do, and we're just grabbing them.
Right there
We're
at
just-
the courthouse.
We're just grabbing them when they're going to their scheduled appointments.
Yes.
They're doing everything that they were told to. They've got their immigration attorneys. They're paying the monies. They're paying their bills. They are also a backbone of our communities. They're paying into systems, into Medicare. They're paying into Social Security, programs that they'll never get. But we're not treating them as if they're human.
Nope.
This administration kept on saying we're going after the worst of the worst.
That's not true.
And we know that's not true because people are reaching out to me. As a matter of fact, I had some people up in North Georgia, still in my area, that were reaching out to say, this person got picked up. This person got picked up. They were here legally. They're on work visas.
And
But
it's not happening.
we don't seem to care.
But we've seen a lot of death related to this issue.
Yep.
American citizens being killed, protests being hit by ICE members. We've seen that the facilities are with not enough bathroom, food. The way they're living is not okay. How we are separating kids, put them in foster care, getting raped. All these things are happening. People that are dying, and then they say, "Oh no, he committed suicide." That's not true. Immigrant woman getting pregnant. How you get pregnant in a facility where you're supposed to be only with women? All these things are happening, and we really need to stop this, Maura. This is not okay.
No, it is not okay. There was a time in America where our word was our bond, and that doesn't exist anymore. What we told you and what we actually do now are two different things. I mean, to include during the Iraqi war, and when we were in Afghanistan, and we had those people that helped us and supported us. They were embedded with our troops to speak for us or to be like a spy for us, and we promised them that we would protect them and their families to come here to the United States. And here it is, we are trying to now deport them. So our word is no longer our
So those
bond.
that have asylum, they don't have it anymore.
They don't, no.
Healthcare and rural communities. This is a big one. For many Georgians, having insurance doesn't necessarily mean they can afford healthcare. What will you do in Congress to make healthcare affordable?
In rural areas, that is a really hard area because they have been forgotten for so long. We concentrate on the suburban and the urban areas, but it's the rural areas that suffer the most because you have less doctors. You have hospitals that are constantly under pressure that could they close? Because if some of these hospitals close, some of these people are going to have an hour to an hour and a half drive to get to the next hospital.
That's not okay.
That's life or death.
And we could do telehealth, but we don't have the infrastructure of internet.
I was just going to say that. You got it right. I was just in Harrelson, and I was driving to a location, and I lost internet to find my location. So we know we have that. So telehealth is important. We need more mobile units. We need to find out when we talk about doctors and nurses, we also need those PAs and nurse practitioners and pharmacists that can come out into the rural areas. And, and especially for our veterans, for those that can get that type of community care out there, when you have less resources and you're putting more of a burden on them, there's a longer wait, or you're going to have to travel a longer distance to go find that health care. So we need to make sure that the infrastructure is there, that the people are there, and that we are actually funding the rural areas.
Well, with so much technology, we can do so much, but the infrastructure is not there. Our veterans, Maura, this is an issue that's personal for you. You served 26 years in the United States Army and later worked in the veterans at the Atlanta Veterans Administration. So you have seen it all. So what is Washington getting wrong about veterans' health care, mental health services, and so on?
Well, we've cut the number of people. We say that they're not needed. When I left my position as a nuclear medicine technologist, that was over 2 years ago. They still haven't filled my position.
Wow.
But they expect you to still do more with less. And we've seen that throughout the Atlanta VA as well as other VAs. It took me 10 months to get hired, yet I was hired at Emory and some of the Piedmont. I got hired in less than 3 weeks. So the hiring process is taking way too long. We don't have enough providers. We still have antiquated systems within our VA health system. Now, the administration has been saying that they've been doing great by processing veterans' benefits in a more timely manner. But what we're finding out is more of those benefits are being just denied. They are using AI in some of these cases where it's easy to deny some of these claims. So our veterans are either going to do two things. They're either going to try it again, or many of them, they just give up. And we can't allow that to happen.
No, we can't.
When it comes to mental health, across America, we do not have enough mental health providers. One thing within the VA, when a veteran, and they have usually, it's a whole different realm of issues. When they open up to you, when they finally trust you, you telling them at some point, well, this provider is no longer available, here's your new one. You start that process all over again.
All over again.
And so they need to know that mental health providers are not interchangeable. So we had the Save, I want to say this right, Save American Veterans Entitlement Act. There's a piece in there. They are going to take away some benefits that veterans, they're saying they're going to grandfather those that currently have it. But in the future, they're going to take away those benefits. And to me, if we earn those benefits, they should stay. But this is what I find so interesting, is Congress can never seem to find places to cut money in order if they're going to pay for something else. But when it comes to the veterans, it's like, figure out how you can pay for it within its own system. These people will have to do without in order for you to pay for this. That's not right.
Well, the federal debt is $40 trillion. We have spent 37.5 in Iran. And that's not okay when we talk about Social Security. So we are putting all this money in this war that I don't think we're going to win no matter what. But we want to cut Social Security and we want to raise the age for retirement. Will you commit to protecting Social Security and Medicare benefit without raising the retirement age? And if so, how will you strengthen this program financially so there will be there for future generations?
That is a loaded question.
Yes.
That is a very loaded question.
We need just a show for that.
And 100%. So I'm not going to be able to give you a full answer right now, but what I will tell you is I'm working with a group called the Concord Coalition. And if anybody can go and take a look at this, if you want to, and this whole group is about how do we balance the federal budget? How do we keep Social Security? And we have many, many different scenarios that are out there that we're actually looking at and playing with to see how we can make sure that we maintain it. Now, I think it's been like over 40 some odd years. Life has changed, but Social Security hasn't. No. We have got to find a way. It has to be reformed. There's no doubt in that. Does that mean raise the age? We have some people talking about that. We have others talking about raising the cap. We have others saying remove the cap. So we're trying to find what is the best solution for the people. I do know this administration was looking at it, making Social Security optional. To me, that is not an option. When I'm out there knocking on the doors in the rural areas, again, this is another nonpartisan issue. When I knock on Republican doors, and when I ask them about this, they don't know that in 5 years, Social Security is looking at a 24% hit. So when I asked them, I said, if today you needed to take that reduction, would you be okay? And every single one of them said, absolutely not. I can't even live on the Social Security I have today. So what'll happen is we're going to see a huge population of people that will be now at or below the poverty level. There is no safety net for that. And the only other issue or that can help a person is their family, is if they have family that can help mom or grandpa to, pay for food or pay for their rent. But if we're already struggling and to make ends meet, will we have that extra money to help our family members? And the answer to a lot of people is no.
It's not okay. Well, energy costs, who should pay? Georgia is growing. The infrastructure is requiring demand, electricity, data centers, you name it. But to large corporate energy users be required to pay greater share to the infrastructure because they want to bring all these projects, but they're not willing to do the sidewalks, they're not willing to do the sewer, they're not willing to do the landscaping. What would be your role, if any, should Congress play on this?
A lot of the rates are done at local levels. But yes, we need to pay attention to what is happening. We had renewable energy that is would definitely help to lower the energy costs in our communities. And this administration has removed so many of those grants and so many of those infrastructures that were currently being built that we show work that it does lower the cost. So we've got to find renewable energies where it's not all gas, where it's not all the fossil fuels. This administration, like you keep on hearing them say, drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
But we end up being the ones that pay for this.
Well, political division, when this administration started at the beginning and now in the last 2 years, name one major issue where you should be willing to work with Republican, even if the members of your own party criticize you for that. But certainly sometimes as a leader, we have to make decisions.
To me, being, we already know that this administration has said, don't work with Democrats. They will find the workarounds. They will do whatever, executive orders, whatever it takes for them to get what they need. We need to go back where we actually talk to each other. From the military to when you work when I worked in the hospital, I never looked at anybody based on a political affiliation. I looked at you as, we have to work together because we have a mission to accomplish.
That's right.
And I think everybody has to keep that thought in their head as to who do they work for. I don't work for a party. I don't work for a person. I don't work for an ideology. I work for the people in my district, and those are the ones that I need to represent. And as long as I always remember, that's what I'm supposed to do. So when we look at legislation, even if it's brought forth by my own party, if it is not good for the people in my district, I won't vote for it.
Communication is key with your citizens. They will tell you.
That's exactly right. And I think that's what's been missing in this district. We've already seen my guy that's in there not answering emails, calls, and they get Dear Constituent letters. And to me, I don't think, I'm 99.9% sure, unless you have that one crazy mom, there's not one person named Dear Constituent in my district. Everybody has a name. And if you took the time to contact him, he needs to listen to you. Because if you're trying to tell him, this is how I need you to vote on a bill, he needs to listen to them.
He just want to stay in that position, but he's not working for the people of District 3. It's obvious that there's no voice in Congress about this because they all are afraid of Trump. That's the reality.
Now, in Congress, there's a caucus that I really want to become part of, and it's called the Problem Solvers Caucus, and it's bipartisan. So while you have each ends of the political spectrum, it's the ones that are in the middle. We're the ones that are sitting down saying, okay, here's some legislation that's coming up. Where are we in common? We can take that out. Where are we having some issues. How do we work together so it's good for everybody? So that's where I want to see myself.
Well, when Maura comes to the show, I need a whole show for her because I need like 10 shows for her because it's so much that she brings to the table. Well, Maura, you're asking voters to send you to Washington to represent Georgia's 3rd Congressional District. Campaigns are full of promises. Voters have heard promises before. But look at that camera and tell the people of District 3 why they should vote for you.
Well, one thing about me is I am here for the district. I understand what my job is as a public servant, and it is to serve the people. I'm fortunate to have people to sit down that gave me all their problems and their issues, and I never want them to be forgotten because I want to make sure I have solutions to those issues when I hit Congress. The comment that people will promise you anything and everything is so true. And it's kind of sad. But I grew up in a time where your word was your bond, where if I could give you a little bit of information about me, so then you can make that decision. There was a time in my military career where I saw illegal activity going on, and I could have just looked the other way. I was a single parent of 2 small children, and I decided I can't allow this because if I don't say or do anything, I am just as guilty. So I went to the IG and I reported it, and what they said to me was, who do you think they're going to believe, a colonel or a lieutenant? And do you want to make your complaint? And I walked away and I said no. But I was bothered for an entire week that again, I would be just as guilty as they are. So I went back and I reported it. The thing is, I was fighting my own self-preservation versus what was right. And I ended up doing it, the right thing. Now, granted, it came with a lot of retribution, but I could look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and knew that I did the right thing. I still have that same conviction going to Washington, that there is nothing you can say or do to me that is going to make me not want to do what's right for the people of this district. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. If you have a problem, if you reach out to me, I'm grateful for you because you are possibly the voice of other people in the district that are suffering or having issues. And that puts that on my plate where we can, tackle some of these issues. So the issues, bottom line, is they're not just one side of the aisle issues. These are people issues. I know who I represent in Congress, and it is not a party and it's not a person.
Well, Maura, thank you for coming to the Hot Seat interview.
Thank you so very, very much for having me, Maggie.
This conversation is great. What is your website?
To learn more about me, you can go to my website at maurakeller.com, and you can sign up. We can always use people to canvass, to phone bank, to text, because I could consider myself a coupon clipping campaign. I have all small dollar donations. And when you're running a campaign against $2 million, we have to be good stewards of our money.
We the people, the people's campaign.
That's right. It's we the people.
We the people, the people's campaign. Well, we spoke with Maura Keller. She's the Democratic nominee for U.S. Congress District 3. She has a phenomenal and plethora of experience to bring to the table to help you to improve the quality of life of your family and your community. She's not going to Congress without experience. She has a lot of experience and education and background. She's a colonel. Not every woman is a colonel, you know what I mean? Well, do your homework, ask questions, look beyond the political slogans and know about your candidate, study the candidates, and compare their records, because this is so important, because the issues that we discussed today, they're not Republican or Democrat. They are the people's problems, and society needs to improve based on what all these candidates bring to the table. If you want to learn more about Maura Keller, visit her website, maurakeller.com. And remember to subscribe, follow the show, share the show with all your friends so they know about Maura Keller, okay? Watch us now on Roku TV. Thank you for the congratulations, Maura. YouTube, Vimeo, Spotify, Apple Podcaster, and also you can see it in starboundpr.com. So there's so many venues that you can see the show. Her show will be aired next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live premiere, where she will be able to answer questions directly while the show is playing. So this is Maggy Martinez, the Hot Seat Interview. Until next time.